The assassination of Tsar Nicholas II and his family in July 1918 remains one of the most infamous and tragic events in Russian history. For decades, the mystery of their deaths has captured the attention of historians, conspiracy theorists, and even casual readers, with a multitude of questions surrounding the execution itself, the identity of the perpetrators, and the possibility that one or more members of the family may have survived. The Romanov family, who ruled Russia for over 3 centuries, were brought down by the forces of revolution and political upheaval. The death of the Romanovs, however, has never ceased to be a subject of speculation and fascination. 2. The Romanov family, background and context. Romanovs had ruled Russia for more than 300 years by the time Tsar Nicholas II came to power in 1894. A well-intentioned but weak ruler, Nicholas faced enormous challenges in maintaining control over an empire in the throes of modernization, war, and social unrest. The early 20th century brought immense turbulence to Russia, with a growing discontent among the working-class peasants and intellectuals. Tsarina Alexandra, the German-born wife of Nicholas II, had a deep, often isolating, bond with her family. She had borne him 5 children, 4 daughters: Olga, Tatiana, Maria, and Anastasia, and a son, Alexei, who was the heir apparent. Alexei, however, suffered from hemophilia, a genetic disorder that left him vulnerable to injury and often overshadowed the family's public life. Alexandra's devotion to Alexei and her reliance on the mystic Rasputin, whom she believed could heal her son, contributed to increasing public suspicion and political instability. By the time World War I began in 1914, Russia was already struggling with economic hardship, political repression, and internal dissent. The war drained resources and led to even greater suffering among the population. By early 1917, this unrest had boiled over into the Russian Revolution, forcing Nicholas II to abdicate the throne in March of that year. 3. The Russian Revolution of 1917. The February Revolution of 1917 led to the abdication of Tsar Nicholas II, effectively ending centuries of Romanov rule. Nicholas was replaced by a provisional government, but this government struggled to maintain power as the political situation in Russia continued to deteriorate. The Bolshevik Party, led by Vladimir Lenin, quickly gained support by promising peace, land, and bread to the masses. Nicholas II and his family were placed under house arrest in the Tsarskoye Selo Palace, and later moved to the city of Tobolsk in Siberia. They were treated with increasing hostility and isolation by the provisional government, and after the Bolshevik Revolution in October 1917, their fate became increased. The Bolsheviks, who had seized power, were determined to eliminate any threats to their authority, including the Romanovs. The question of what to do with the deposed royal family remained unresolved for months. The Romanovs were eventually moved to Ekaterinburg, a city in the Ural Mountains, where they were kept in a house known as the Apativ House. 4. The execution of the Romanovs on the night of July 16 to 17, 1918, the Romanov family was executed by a firing squad. The exact circumstances surrounding their deaths remain shrouded in mystery, and numerous conflicting reports have been made over the years. The family was awoken in the early hours of the morning and told they were being moved to a more secure location. They were led to the basement of the Apativ house, where they were told to stand together for a photograph. It was at this point that the executioners opened fire. Eyewitness accounts vary, but it is generally agreed that the Romanovs were killed in a chaotic and brutal manner. The family was reportedly struck multiple times, with the gunfire seemingly taking longer to kill them than initially anticipated. The aftermath of the execution. After the deaths of the Romanovs, The Bolshevik government went to great lengths to conceal the bodies. The bodies were hastily disposed of in a remote area outside Ekaterinburg, with efforts made to cover up the crime. In the years following the revolution, the Soviet government maintained a policy of secrecy surrounding the execution. The official narrative was that the Romanovs were dead, but the specifics of their deaths remained vague, allowing rumors and conspiracy theories to flourish. One of the most enduring myths was the possibility that one or more members of the family had survived the execution. The most notable claim came from a woman who would later be known as Anna Anderson. She claimed to be Anastasia Romanov, the youngest daughter of the Tsar. Anderson's case became a media sensation, and many believed her story, even though no conclusive evidence could verify her identity. As a result, the mystery of the Romanovs' deaths remained alive for decades, long after the bodies were buried and forgotten by most. The mystery begins. Rumors and speculation. Rumors surrounding the survival of the Romanov family began almost immediately after the murders. Reports of sightings of the children, particularly Anastasia, surfaced in various parts of Europe. One of the most famous claimants was Anna Anderson, who spent many years in Germany and the United States, insisting that she was the surviving Romanov princess. Anderson's case gained widespread attention, and her story fueled the idea that at least one member of the family had managed to escape the execution. 7. The discovery of the bodies. Discovery of the Romanovs' remains did not occur until several decades after the execution. In 1979, a team of amateur historians in Ekaterinburg unearthed a mass grave that was believed to contain the bodies of the Romanovs. Initial examinations of the remains were inconclusive, and the discovery was not widely acknowledged by the Soviet authorities. However, in the 1990s, following the collapse of the Soviet Union, Russian authorities began to more openly investigate the fate of the Romanovs. In 1991, a formal excavation of the site was conducted, and forensic experts confirmed that the remains were indeed those of Tsar Nicholas II, Tsarina Alexandra, and their 4 daughters. However, the remains of Anastasia and Alexei were not found. This left the possibility open that they had survived, or that their bodies were buried elsewhere. It was not until 2007, after further research and forensic analysis, that the remains of Anastasia and Alexei were found in a separate grave. DNA testing confirmed the identities of the Romanovs and put to rest most of the mystery surrounding their deaths. The remains of the family were reburied in 1998, and the Romanovs were granted a place of honor in Russian history. 8. The role of DNA testing in solving the mystery. DNA testing played a crucial role in solving the mystery of the Romanovs' deaths. Beginning in the late 20th century, advances in forensic technology allowed scientists to compare the remains found in Ekaterinburg with the known DNA of living relatives of the Romanovs. The identification process was painstaking but ultimately conclusive. In 1991, a group of Russian scientists extracted DNA from the remains and compared it to genetic material from surviving Romanov relatives, including Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, and other descendants of the Romanovs' extended family. The DNA evidence confirmed that the remains belonged to Nicholas II, Alexandra, and their 4 daughters, as well as the family's servants. The remaining mystery was solved in 2007, when the final remains of Anastasia and Alexei were identified. X. The legacy of the Romanov mystery. Mystery surrounding the death of the Romanovs has had a profound impact on Russian history and culture. The discovery of their remains and the resolution of the mystery did not erase the fascination that their deaths had generated. The Romanovs remain a symbol of Russia's lost imperial past, and their tragic end continues to stir the imaginations of people around the world. The case of Anna Anderson, who spent many years trying to convince the world that she was Anastasia, remains one of the most enduring aspects of the Romanov saga. Despite the scientific evidence confirming the death of the Romanovs, the belief in the survival of one or more of the family members continues to be a subject of discussion. Furthermore, the Romanovs' execution and the subsequent mystery played a significant role in shaping the narrative of the Russian Revolution. The Bolshevik government's treatment of the Romanovs and its refusal to provide transparency contributed to the sense of injustice that followed. For many, the death of the Romanovs represents the end of an era in Russia, marking the final chapter in the country's imperial history. The mystery surrounding the death of the Romanov family is a complex and multifaceted one. The brutal execution of Tsar Nicholas II, his wife Tsarina Alexandra, and their 5 children marked the end of an era in Russian history. For decades, rumors of survival and conspiracy theories obscured the truth, leaving the Romanovs' fate shrouded in uncertainty. However, advances in forensic science and the discovery of their remains have finally put to rest much of the mystery surrounding their deaths. The execution of the Romanovs represents both a tragedy and a turning point in Russian history, symbolizing the fall of the Russian Empire and the rise of Bolshevik power. While the mystery of their deaths has been largely resolved, the legacy of the Romanovs continues to captivate people around the world, reminding us of the complexity and enduring fascination of this tragic chapter in history.